shadow of the atom hangs over the efforts of the United Nations to hold the peace. In Britain, atomic research at Harwell in Berkshire was stepped up as plans were made for cuts in the armed forces to speed economic recovery. Taking the place of men in uniform may come an army of scientists to whom the nation would look for its defense. But strife, whether by the atom or less modern means of destruction, still added up to human misery. For peace had not broken down racial hatreds which have smoldered over the centuries. In India, the age of the common man was still to come. Curfew is imposed in Delhi as communal hatred reaches fever pitch. Muslims called for compulsory military service for every youth in Pakistan. In Delhi, Gandhi stated boldly that war between the two dominions was bound to come. The uneasy marriage of Muslim and Hindu has turned back the pages to one of the grimmest eras in India's history. Muslims found refuge in a Delhi mosque. Casualties from the rioting in the capital were more than 1,000. The novelty of independence has worn thin. More Indians have been killed in the past month than in all the riots during the past 50 years. As the massacre went on, the East was wistfully saying goodbye to the reign of the British. It was certainly not India that was uppermost in the minds of many delegates as the Queen Mary nosed into New York for the U.N.O. Assembly. Aboard, Russia's Andre Vyshinsky with daughter Zena and delegate Gromyko. He made it clear that with America's George Marshall, he would hold the center of the stage at this most momentous meeting. Molotov's deputy opened up smoothly with his comment.
Soviet delegation will spare no efforts to achieve successful decision.
Outside the U.N.O. building were the usual greetings. But unless suspicion was stifled, the 11th hour for the new diplomacy was near. Ostensibly, Russia's liberal use of the veto had pricked America into commando tactics. Vyshinsky's comeback was a bitter onslaught on what he called the warmongers of the Western powers. Secretary Marshall's shadowboxing with Vyshinsky boiled down to this. Russia was determined to break down what she regards as American interference in Soviet spheres of interest. Mr. Marshall was equally determined to curb communist expansion wherever American influence existed. Obdurate Russians and the world looked at the facts. America still leads in atomic research and, moreover, possesses a store of atomic bombs. How long it would take Russia to catch up, no U.N.O. member knew. To the world, it was patently clear that power politics was still discreetly fashionable. But as the battle of international politics went on, the news from U.N.O. didn't catch all the headlines. In Australia, Melbourne teenagers steer clear of problems in a 7-day dancing marathon. At the same time, 3 strange characters decide to sit out the Australian pole squatting record. 40 feet up, they seek solitude while the jitterbugs go wild down below. The old tag about taking your pleasures while you can is perhaps a worthwhile philosophy in an uncertain world. Swingsters and pole sitters, they're still hanging on. The champion jitterbug lasted only 18 hours, just 6 days short of their target. Maybe the up-the-pole boys will have better luck. A more useful pastime, however, can be seen at Redbourne, Hertfordshire. Here, 24-year-old Kenneth MacDonald can't afford 3 and 4pence for 20 cigarettes, so he's defying Mr. Dalton by growing his own tobacco among the cabbages in his back garden. In the potting shed where Mr. MacDonald keeps his chickens is the drying room. Leaves are hung up in bunches of 4s, and soon they take on a golden brown color. Veined in the open, The leaves are nearly ready to be rolled. Paying 5 shillings for an excise license and depositing a £50 security, Kenneth MacDonald is all set as a tobacco planter. In Redbourne, the locals may soon be asking for a packet of McDonald's. But of the week's personalities to visit Britain, Mae West made the showiest entrance. Pathé met the 55-year-old Bowery Queen at Southampton. With her long platinum blonde curls, the world's premier stage siren also had the longest eyelashes, nearly 2 inches of them. Mae had her usual profound observations for the greatest of human emotions. Still a star attraction, she helped to lighten the heavier headlines in the week's news with this conversation.
Now, May, I want to ask you a lot of rather intimate questions. First of all, what do you think of men?
Men? Well, men are my career.
May, tell me, what is your hobby?
My hobby is men.
May, why have you never got married?
Well, it would interfere with my hobby.
One thing I'd like to ask you, what is your definition of love?
Love? Love is what you make it and who you make it with. It can be an art, a luxury, a physical culture.
Mae West, I want to ask you one thing. What is your greatest ambition?
My greatest ambition? Well, if you come up and see me sometime, I'll let you know.
Well, let's not waste any time. Let's go.